Numbers up for Honduras. Low-driven free kick is dealt with in routine fashion by Julian Araujo. Now a chance for a second ball. Ramirez rounds Orozco, rolls in a dangerous ball. Lifted back forward by Santa Maria. Stepping into it to drive it away was Cesar Montes. Montes made headlines in the first two games scoring goals, but he's put in good work defensively in this game.
And Johan Vasquez, the last few times it's come down this right side with Dixon Ramirez, has put himself in perfect position to make clearances as those crosses came into the box.
It'll be interesting to see if Vasquez and Montes are the center back pairing at the World Cup for Mexico next year when they start playing on June 11th in Estadio Azteca. Vasquez was asked about that yesterday in the press conference. Said that he and Montes make a good pair. They've known each other since they were 7 or 8 years old. There's Orbelín Pineda, and also Eric Lira will be going into the game. So Javier Aguirre exhausts his subs now. The night's over for Raúl Jimenez. And what a moment 40 minutes ago. Mora the setup, smashed in by Raúl Jimenez for the only goal of the game.
We did a piece, Mark, before the game on Raúl Jimenez and what he's had to endure after fracturing his skull. And if you haven't had a moment to check that out, look up what happened to him. It's a miracle that he's walking and an absolute miracle that he's back playing, leading his team, and you can't help but root for that man. And he scored another important goal for his country tonight.
To provide some fresh legs and take up a little bit more of a defensive position in midfield rather than the advanced position of Marcel Ruiz, it's Eric Lira. Ruiz had a great goal-scoring opportunity on a turn in the first half, but was denied by Edric Menjivar. We're now over a minute into the minimum of 7 minutes of stoppage time in this semifinal. The United States on a brace today by Diego Luna, then able to hold off a charge by Guatemala in the second half. Guatemala did pull one back, but the 2 goals by Luna stand up in the end for a 2-1 result. Long ball played here by Luis Angel Malagón.
You can't help but wonder if you're looking at the midfield 3 for Mexico next year with Mora, a year older, a year more experience, Edson Alvarado, the leader, and Marcel Ruiz, who has come into this team and made a massive impact immediately. Now that Luis Chavez likely out for a long time and potentially for the World Cup.
And Chavez last week in training, torn ACL. Orozco with the header away on that long driven ball into the area by Honduras. Trying to play out here Mexico and give it away by Alvarez. Was trying to go back to Vega. Daniel Maldonado, he was part of doing enough work for at least a moment to keep that ball out. Didn't end up conceding an own goal in that situation earlier in the game where the Alvarez goal was taken away due to being ever so slightly offside. 93 minutes played, at least 4 more minutes of stoppage time. Retreating here is Kervin Arriaga and finally locates Menjivar for an outlet. The flick along header there by Pineda. The reaction by Cachorro Montes to clear it back to the other end. Javier Aguirre is Mexico's manager in the 2002 World Cup and ready to do it again next year. Matter of fact, Aguirre, of course, has played in a World Cup for Mexico as well when they hosted and made it to the quarterfinals in 1986, and he was sent off in the quarterfinals in 1986. As Orbelín Pineda, he scored 2 goals in his career against Honduras. He'd love to have a chance to put some insurance onto this one at the end. play is going to be stopped for a moment. Cameras did locate, as you saw, an individual that had run onto the field. Javier Aguirre talking with one of the CONCACAF match officials. Much like Javier Aguirre has led his team as a manager at a World Cup 2002 for Mexico, Reynaldo Rueda has had the pride of doing that for Honduras. Did it in 2010. Would love to have the chance to do it again. Honduras has a qualifying group with matches in September, October, and November with Costa Rica, Haiti, and Nicaragua. The winner of those three groups, there are three groups in CONCACAF, group winners directly qualify, and then two others go to the playoff. Landon, there could be 8 CONCACAF teams in next year's 48-team World Cup hosted in the U.S., Mexico, and Canada.
Well, for the sake of the World Cup, that would be incredible to have it in the U.S., Canada, and Mexico. So many fans in all of those countries of all of these teams would be phenomenal.
Has to be sorted out later this year and into early next year. Those 2 spots in the Interconfederation playoff will be decided in terms of who goes to the World Cup in March. But what matters right now is the final minutes of this Gold Cup semifinal. The U.S. is in. Whoa. Well, we see that Lira has been booked, and surely for what happened in that sequence, I believe it was Pineda. Arboleda getting involved here for Honduras. Menjivar coming in to try to play peacemaker right now and get his team to get on with the match. Now, obviously, whatever happens here will be tacked on for more time. But to Menjivar's point, you got to keep your head about you right now because it is last chance saloon here. I mean, there's time for 1 or 2 chances at best if you're Honduras.
Yeah, it's not smart if you're Honduras, and you want to get on with the game and give yourself a chance to score. There's no guarantee ever that the ref is going to give more time, so you're just wasting your own time.
The only player booked out of all of that was Eric Lira, the 25-year-old from Mexico City, playing for over 3 seasons at Cruz Azul. Now Juan Calderon has stopped play. Maybe there was communication about that little dust-up with VAR, but it's time to get on with the game. Menjivar. Maybe the final chance. A couple of nice headers split forward by Honduras. Pineda and Arboleda were part of that build-up, held in here by Santa Maria. Ball went right by the face of Edwin Rodriguez, who just came on, and goes all the way out. Mexico could soak up some more time here. We passed 7 minutes, but there have been things that have occurred during stoppage time that you would surmise would add on more time here at the end. Might play to 98 or 99.
Yeah, if this result holds, Mark, whatever you had planned on doing Sunday afternoon, change your plans. If it's U.S.-Mexico and it's a Gold Cup final, 3 p.m. Pacific time, 6 p.m. Eastern. Get on the couch, grab a beer, some food. It's going to be fireworks.
Pour yourself a mezcal, whatever you choose to do.
I choose to do that often.
Sure. It's going to be a great final. Honduras obviously are hoping for one last chance to spoil that party. Javier Aguirre said before the game that even though it was Honduras, not Panama, they had the utmost respect and seriousness with which they would approach this game against Honduras, and they've had one heck of a battle. Launched back in the direction of Edric Menjivar here by Julian Araujo, and Menjivar will roll it to Maldonado. Is there one last chance coming here for Honduras? We're trying to slow up play. Rosales. A long and desperate and hopeful ball launched in the direction of Ramirez, and holding on to it is Malagón. Luis Angel Malagón looking for another clean sheet. He finally had to make a save tonight, which he hasn't had to do in the last 2 games. Booted forward by Malagón. All eyes on the referee from Costa Rica, Juan Calderon. And that's it. For the 8th time, it will be a United States-Mexico Gold Cup final. 1-0 is the final result tonight. Mexico over Honduras. So geographic neighbors, rivals on the pitch, and so closely ranked by FIFA that maybe it could only be distinguished by a video assistant referee. It's the United States and Mexico again in a final. Coming up on Sunday after Mexico dispatch Honduras tonight 1-0 in Santa Clara. Let's go to Rob Stone in the studio.
All right, Mark Landon, thank you again. We're going to take you right back out to Santa Clara in a moment. We began this tournament with 16 nations. We are now down to 2. The U.S. and Mexico will meet Sunday in Houston, live on Fox. Coverage begins 6 Eastern. It will be the 8th Gold Cup final between the two storied rivals. This is pretty much what the region wanted, you know, maybe just us. We can be selfish sometimes like that. U.S.-Mexico is what we in America want, a great test for the U.S. We'll talk about that matchup in a little bit, but let's take you back now to Santa Clara and wrap things up with Menji time. It's been fun having you around, Mr. Menjivar, but in the end, it's El-Tri moving on as expected to their 12th finals at the Gold Cup and the 4th straight. 8 goals scored, 2 goals allowed. Maybe more importantly, Mo, 4 straight shutouts for El-Tri.
It's been impressive defensively from El-Tri, and I will say I feel like the step up is going to increase when they play against the U.S. There's more creative players in the final third that'll cause and ask more questions of that back line, but take nothing away from that back line. Malagon, when called upon, has made a couple of saves, but you can't shrug at that, and that gives them the foundation to find ways to score goals. They finally get a goal from Raul Jimenez in the run of play, his second of the tournament, had a set-piece goal chopped off legs. But ultimately, we've talked about